Hi guys, it's Blackie for Shaman's Forge Bushcraft. First of all, let me apologize for not getting this video done sooner, but I had the flu and it kicked my puppy, and there's a lot of things going on at work that just drug me down. So this has been my first real opportunity. So getting back to, we were talking about taking a U.S. Army duffel bag, creating a piece of Condura nylon, and now we're going to create a haversack. Now, how big a haversack do you need or want? This was my haversack in many videos. It's all I needed. A lot of the times you see this size haversack, something big like this. But the problem with it is, this is 3/4 the size of the rucksack. And you run into a point of you're putting so much gear in it, it's really ought to be carried as a rucksack. Figure out what I want to put in and then create a bag to go with that. Now, we're going to generate a pattern. That pattern, sorry for the aircraft, I'm right here next to a military base, is going to be made up of sheets of newspaper. Now for this haversack, what I've done is taken half of a sheet of newspaper. I folded over the top 1 inch. That's going to be the seam at the lip of my bag. Now I'm going to fold it over to about how deep I want the bag. And this depth is about where I want it. Now I will take another sheet and I'll just randomly attach it in here with masking tape. And I'm going to create the flap. Just like that. Okay. Now, here is my main body. Right there. And here is my flap. Now I want that flap to come down 3/4 the length of the body. About right there. I'm going to fold that bit back under, just like that. And that is my haversack pattern. I have a flap component. I have a body component right here. And notice where the haversack itself body ends and the top of the flap is about 2 inches apart. That gives me where I open the bag up and I can easily get my hand into it. I don't have to, or open the bag way up here and then try to feed my hand down. It'll make a generous opening that I can get in and out of easily. So again, let me make sure this is thoroughly tacked down, and we'll open it up and go through it in detail again. Sitting on the dirt, trying to fight wind, trying to fight all this stuff. Keeps you busy. But we're going to get it, guys. Okay. Now, let me zoom the camera in and we'll show you up close. Okay. Now, once again, here we are, our long sheet we've generated. This width is how wide I want my bag. Okay, we fold over 1 inch at the top. This is going to be the mouth of the bag up here at the top where our hand goes in. And we want this double thickness or even triple thickness so that it does not wear through easy, it doesn't fray. Then we have folded to create the main body. That's how big the body's going to be. Next, we have folded over, and look at it from the back and say, that's how big I want. Total from top, that's the size of the pack, the haversack. Now with this excess material, we've doubled it under to that seam we had. Now we can cut it to make sure that meets that seam. That's the fold seam we're using for the top of the flap, and laid it down. And that is our pattern, so that when you lift up, here's where your hand will go in for the pack, and down. That is now your haversack pattern. Now we have taken our pattern, and at the end of the video, I will post you the actual measurements of how big this pattern is, okay? So we've taken our pattern, we've laid it down on our material on the floor, something flat. We have masking taped it along the edges, taken a marker, and we've gone along and traced it out on our material. Now, let's talk about, since we're using surplus material, you want to arrange it so that the finished product may hide some blemishes, writings, or whatever. You may want to show that, to show that it is made out of an old duffel bag or whatever. But if you're wanting to hide it, bear this in mind. You're going to lay it out, you're going to cut it out, you're then going to lay it in proper position, tape it, check to make sure that it's how you want it, the size you want it. This is what I want. You'll look and see if I missed over here. You may need to trim up and make it even, things like that. But now remember, you have two options here. You can sew it and then cover that sewed with some sort of seam tape, or you're going to sew it, then turn it inside out to put those seams to the inside. That is what I have chose to do. So when I sew it in this configuration, this will actually be the inside of the haversack. When I turn it correctly so that the seams go to the inside and press it out flat, what's presently in here will be the outside of the bag. Okay? So now we have taped it in the configuration that we wanted. We figured out about where all the seams and creases are going to be. Now with this one, I can see that I got a little problem right here. The material was not even on the offhand side. There's a little bit of loss there. So I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to very carefully trim that edge up so it's even all the way down. It isn't rocket science, but like here on this side, it puckers out a little bit and it puckers in on that side a little bit. It's okay to have a little bit of a pucker in the flap, in the body, because that's where your hand's going to go in. So you don't want this blood tight, you want it loose or your hand goes in and out easily. Okay, now, what are you going to sew this with? You want to go down to your local craft store, Walmart, something like that, and you're looking for upholstery thread. It'll be down along the bottom on the thread rack, and you want something that is nylon or polyester. You do not want thin cotton thread for this. It breaks too easy. A haversack is going to get a lot of wear and tear, drugged, sat, picked up, snatched up, wet. So you want something that does not rot easy. It can be very strong. The needles you want are big eye needle, something that the thread will fit into, preferably like an embroidery needle or something like that. It has a large eye so that once you put it in, there's a space for the thread to lay flat and go through easily. And that's what you're going to sew. If you have a question, ask the lady working in the area, explain what you're sewing. Even better yet, take it and tell her what you're doing, and she'll probably steer you directly to what you need. But right now, you need needles and thread of the color you want to begin sewing. And that's the next video. We're going to sew this up. Thanks for watching, guys.